Good morning. Thank you. Um, I've been trying to cut down this talk for days. If you have looked at this month's newsletter, you'll see that the whole thing is in there. So, as I did use the Gospel according to Google for much of my information here, please know that I did look at studies, and there are at least 3 people in this congregation, if not more, who know volumes and years more than I do about mental health. So this is just meant to be an overview, and if you want to read some of the statistics, you can look in the newsletter. But March is Women's History Month, or National Women's Month, and this seems an appropriate time to talk about women's mental health. The actual International Women's Day was last Tuesday, and coincidentally, the color for this month is purple. Men, you will have your month in June, so never fear. This month, honoring women has been observed in the United States since 1987. There have been and continue to be numerous achievements by women throughout the years. But today I want to look at the price that might have been paid for those and other achievements, and in fact, the price that continues to be paid by many women in the present. We live on a planet that has at least 7 different generations, and to me, that's kind of mind-boggling. In my research, of course, I found many differences in them based on economics, social events, and stressors of the time. But one thing that seems to have remained fairly unchanged for women is mental health issues. Across the generations, they still contend with the effects of depression, anxiety, and other such matters that affect their lives every day. Up until the second half of the 20th century, hysteria was a widely used medical diagnosis only for women. Has anybody ever called you hysterical? It is defined as a psychological disorder whose symptoms include conversion of psychological stress into physical symptoms. That's called somatization. Selective amnesia, shallow, volatile emotions, and overdramatic or attention-seeking behavior. Very flattering, right, girls? This disorder dates back to the ancient Greeks and Egyptians, and in its evolution, it has been called different things: demon-possessed, sinful, or madness. It was only in 1980 that the term was removed from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, or the DSM. Today, hysteria has been replaced by the conditions of depressive and anxiety neuroses, or somatic symptom disorder. Over the centuries, as medical knowledge has increased, thank goodness, mental symptoms have become more accurately defined and humanely treated. Today, there are 4 mental health issues that are more evident in women than in men. Depression is the main mental health issue for women. They are twice as likely to have depression, 12% versus 6%, as men are, and along with anxiety and specific phobias, they are twice as likely as men to have panic disorder, generalized anxiety, and specific phobias. PTSD, women are twice as likely as men to develop after they have a traumatic event, and that's really surprising to me considering what our military men and women have been through over the last 10 plus years. Suicide attempts are prevalent among women. Men die from suicide 4 times as many times as women do, but women attempt suicide 2 to 3 times more often than men. And the 4th mental health issue for women is eating disorders. Women's symptoms are also different, necessitating different treatments. For example, a man who is depressed is likely to report job-related problems, while a woman is more likely to report physical symptoms and to develop problems with alcohol abuse within a few years of the onset of the depression. Women are more likely to use religious and emotional outlets to offset the symptoms of depression compared to men, who often find relief from sports and other hobbies. Women, by the way, are more likely to report concerns about mental health much earlier than men are. And I'm not using this as a soapbox, I promise. So why do we have these gender differences? I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes that will explain the first three: biological differences, sociocultural differences, and the fact that women are still the primary caregivers for children and chronically ill elderly people. One thing I do want to say, in the light of all of the advances that have been made over the years in equity, particularly in the vocational or occupational area, women with equal experience and qualifications are still generally paid 25% less than their male counterparts in the workplace. Now, these are generalized numbers. You'd have to go to specific occupations to find out exactly what the numbers are there. There are gender differences because of abuse and violence. 1 in 5 women will experience rape or attempted rape, which can lead to depression and panic disorder. About 1 in 3 women have experienced sexual or physical violence and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Poverty. The poverty rate for women aged 18 to 34, it averages about 17.8% as compared to men of the same age range at 8%. Single-parent homes. In 2020, 21% of the children in the U.S. were living in homes with the mother only, compared to 4.5% who were living in homes with only the father. And then major life transitions and negative life experiences, which some of these cannot be transposed to men at all, but they're very emotion-provoking situations. Those things that can contribute to depression and anxiety are pregnancy, motherhood, menopause, infertility, and miscarriage or stillbirth. Of course, we could not talk about the condition of women's mental health without mentioning COVID-19. So I have a video that will cover that, I think, very well for you and give us an idea. Remember that over the last 2 years, all people, men, women, and children, have been affected by this phenomenon. And because of certain things related to women, they have experienced more stress in some areas than other parts of the population. Adolph and Morrissey, I'm ready.
All week long, we're highlighting women's health, and today we're focusing on the mind. The mental health crisis can affect women completely differently than men in many cases. And this morning, we are joined by Dr. Dana LaPlato-Guiney, a clinical assistant professor at the University of Michigan. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off talking about really what women are grappling with in many cases right now. The pandemic impacting obviously everybody, but for women there's often social isolation, juggling work and childcare. Women are also more likely to be involved in caring for their older parents. So what's the mental toll of dealing with all of this, and what advice do you have for somebody trying to balance it all in the middle of this crisis?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This pandemic definitely just adds a whole nother layer to the stress that many women may already have been dealing with, right? That's just a really stressful time, like you already highlighted. Families have lost income. Sometimes there's a lack of childcare, like you already said. And look, many essential workers continue to face a number of challenges, including a greater risk of contracting the virus. So I think in general, it's just really important to highlight that. It's a stressful time and it's okay, and to reassure ourselves. So, what I think about in the middle of all of this is the three R's: reassure, routines, and regulate. So, it's okay for us to just reassure ourselves that, look, this is a hard time and it's okay, and that we've gotten through hard times before. Being mindful about our daily routines and what we're doing to take care of ourselves, including diet, exercise, a healthy, balanced diet, exercise, and sleep, and then figuring out how you regulate yourself and your emotions. Like, what works for you? Those are some quick tips that I could think about right now.
Yeah, and what works for you may not work for other people. So you kind of do have to know yourself. Good advice there. So women are diagnosed with depression and anxiety more often than men. Why is that?
Yeah, that is true. Depression and anxiety are more common in women. There are several reasons out there, probably way too many to dig too deep during our short time together, but clearly, clearly biological differences, right? So, you know, there are hormonal differences between men and women, also psychological differences, and some sociocultural differences as well that may play a role. So, researchers have found that gender differences in socialization could be playing a role there. In general, girls, are socialized to be a bit more nurturing and sensitive to the opinions of others. And look, we already highlighted it, right? Women, we're often wearing many, many hats. And just trying to find that balance is really important.
I mean, and when we showed that graphic there, 12 million women a year can be
Yes.
diagnosed with clinical depression. Those numbers are staggering. So what are indicators that a woman might need to ask for some professional help?
That's an excellent question. I think it's really important to highlight a few things. So, if you're feeling really sad or down for a significant period of time, more than 2 weeks, if you're getting too much sleep or too little sleep, if you notice a change in energy, either it's too low or you're feeling really restless, changes in appetite or significant weight loss or weight gain, um, excessive feelings of guilt or hopelessness, and excessive use of alcohol or drugs. Those are things to highlight. But I think the biggest thing to highlight is impairment. So if you notice that you're not functioning at the level you should be, then we have to seek out help and get you to, the right level of functioning for you.
And it is absolutely fine to ask for help. It is a good thing to do. Dr. Dana LaPlatte Ogini, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your expertise on this very important topic.
Thank you.
Check out this Verbo.
So that pretty much wraps up what happened during COVID-19. Since we are coming out of it, we hope, there are many things that we can do for ourselves. Men can do these very same things. On the video were mentioned the top three that are always mentioned: sleep, diet, and exercise. If we do those every day, it's going to help our mental health and our physical health as well. Not all of the information that I gave you, well, it did sound pretty negative, but it's not disheartening. There's a lot of research going on now that is separating men's health and women's health, and that includes the mental health area. They're being studied separately because they are different. So as there's a greater understanding of men's mental health and women's mental health issues, there should be some good news in treating the issues that women and men have regarding mental health. There are many organizations in our communities, such as NAMI, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health National Helpline, the Texas Health and Human Services, and they're working diligently to educate and support mental health in our communities. So those are options to look at. Besides those agencies, we also have suicide and violence hotlines in and outpatient facilities and private therapists are all available to help us with our mental health concerns. I would like to mention just quickly a very, very good resource in San Antonio. It's called Sacred. It's spelled SACRD.org. And if you just get online and look it up, you will find, I think, hundreds of thousands of resources of all kinds that might help you if you need some help. But besides the 3 things that were mentioned on the video about how to take care of yourself every day, in order to get a good night's sleep, it's recommended that you turn off all electronics, get unhooked at least 30 minutes before you go to bed. And I would also like to issue you a challenge to monitor your online time on your social media, reduce it, and see what happens. Have face-to-face, real-life connections instead. Look at your schedules, see if there's any place you can cut back or eliminate some things. Set priorities. Maintain your networks, your friends and family, and your church family as well. Practice positive thinking and forgiveness, and see a mental health professional if you need to. So I think that Women's Health Month might be a good time to try some of these suggestions. It takes a little time, but it really pays off. We owe it to ourselves and to the generations after us to live in a less stressed, more joyful, and healthy way, day by day. Thank you.